stay here. We want to be one country. One country.
Here we go.
One country.
Oh my fucking god, he's got a gun, he's got a gun!
So ladies and gentlemen, I wonder how close your chocolate Nubian can get to being arrested by the police before he's actually arrested. What do you think? Ooh, they're closing on me. Oh, it's getting crazy, guys. I think I had enough of the popo. Boom sugar looker, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Schul, aka the Esoteric Noetic, aka the Chocolate Nubian, soul brother from Ghana, West Africa, dropping the wisdomatic truth bombs here in Melbourne, Australia, mate, home of the New World Order. I want to remind everyone that I'm not one of these crazy conspiracy theorists that goes to these protests that is endangering everyone's lives. I'm on team meh. I stand with Dan, Fauci, ScoMo, George Soros, Joe Cross Biden. I identify that I've taken the boom shakalaka, even though I haven't, so I'm a trans-vaxxite. And, yeah, I think you all should do the right thing. Do as you're told. Freedom is disgusting. It is evil. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell. Tell your friends, tell your mom. Drop us some comments, everyone. Let us know what it is. Appreciate you, particularly if you are a new subscriber and you are sharing these videos. If you are supporting us by buying us a coffee, telling your mom, namaste. All right. Now, I've been receiving a lot of comments lately on my TikTok and on my other channels. Check us out. I'm everywhere. And a lot of people have been saying, shame on you for going to these protests. Now, of course, I would never go to one of these protests because I am on team meh. But a lot of people apparently have. And there are a lot of these momos that are calling him out for being selfish and saying they've been dubbing all of you conspiracy theorists for not going along with these mandates. And they're saying things like, you're just making this thing go on longer. That, look, mate, we all got to do the right thing. We all got to stay together by staying apart. We all got to do as we're told, right? Now, I want to sincerely ask the proponents of this, the proponents of aggression, proponents of tyranny, the proponents of, oh, we got to be safe. I want to sincerely put this question to you. Has going ahead with these lockdowns, acquiescing to these mandates, has that resulted in us getting back our freedoms? Just over the last 18 to 20 months that this stuff has been going on, what has been happening? Have we been getting more freedoms or have we been losing them? Classically, liberty is never granted. It is taken. That has been the historical theme. Whether it was slavery a few hundred years ago, whether it was any form of tyranny for that matter, it's always something that needs to be resisted. Tyrants don't typically give you back your freedom. Stop doing what they're doing because you asked nicely. You have to fight for it. And need that be a reminder to every single person out there that is saying, oh, look, man, why do you have to be so argumentative? I just want us all to get along. Whereas it's typically these people that are advocating for the government coming into your homes and locking you up, fining you, because you believe in human rights. You believe in freedom from aggression. I want to remind everyone also that it is incumbent upon every single person out there, as difficult as it may be, because I suffer from this as well. I want to get along with people. I'm a diplomat. I want to have congruence. But it is incumbent to speak the truth when it comes to the matters that we are dealing with at the moment, even if your voice shakes. Don't acquiesce to this, oh, we need to be politically correct nonsense that is perpetuated in the current climate. By speaking the truth, you are giving permission subconsciously for other people to speak the truth as well. Don't water down your message. Do not water down who you are. You are a beautiful manifestation of the universe, and you come into this existence, this time and space for a reason, to be who you are unequivocally. Do not be a suppressive personality. Be who you are unwaveringly. Yes, it will frustrate some people. Some people will not want to spend time with you, but it will act as a guiding light to those that need your beautiful energy. And that's what we are, ladies and gentlemen. At the core, we are beings of light. And light, when it is truly expressed, it has the ability to illuminate the minds of those that are willing to embrace it. But it also has the ability to burn. Now, we are in a time where there are some people that are going to be burned by the truth and others that will flock to it, that very much need that. Ooh! Ladies and gentlemen, I want to have a look at an article I came across talking about the recent protests. Now, the recent protests have marked the biggest violence we've seen in protests in probably a couple of decades. And according to this article, yeah, the police are not very happy with all you conspiracy theorists. So Melbourne anti-lockdown protest is the most violent in the city in 20 years, according to the police commissioner. The chief commissioner of Victoria Police said yesterday's anti-lockdown protest in Melbourne CBD were among the most violent he has seen in 2 decades. Ooh. Chief Commissioner Shane Patton described the rally, which attracted thousands of people. It's interesting they're actually acknowledging there were thousands this time, but it was only a few hundred, only a few, hippie conspiracy theorists are attending these rallies. He described these protests as being disgraceful. What we saw yesterday was probably one of the most violent protests we've seen in nearly 20 years. That is astonishing, Mr. Patton said. The protest was held under the banner of a freedom rally. It was anything but freedom. So let's be clear about this. We have the state, we have the government that is essentially locking people in their homes, coercing them. That is classically immoral. It violates the Enlightenment principles of Jean Locke, of the Western world. It's called freedom from aggression. When someone initiates violence on you, tells you to do something they don't have the right to tell you to do, or coerces you to do that, and then you decide not to go ahead with that, like, by the logic of these guys, you're the violent person that doesn't want to go ahead with rape. It's freedom, ladies and gentlemen, freedom from aggression, freedom to do as you will, provided you are not violating the unalienable individual freedoms of others. I love how these disseminators of bamboozlery try to obfuscate what is really going on here, try to act as if they're the good guys, when essentially they are the Nazis. Okay. All I can say, he goes on to say, is it was tremendously disappointing. The risk that those people have posed to the rest of the community is disgraceful and selfish. This is what I keep hearing. Oh, you guys are selfish because you're endangering. You can use that argument to justify everything. Or you're walking down the street, or you're selfish. Or you're breathing oxygen, or you're selfish, mate. Or what are you doing? Or what, you believe in keeping your own monies? Or you're selfish, mate. How about you being selfish because you're wanting to force people to be locked in their homes? How about you being selfish because people are suffering from mental illnesses because you're essentially imposing these restrictions on them, violating their individual rights? So not only are your actions indirectly selfish because they're leading to harm, but they're actually immoral because they are violating the individual rights of someone. It's force. Essentially, that's supposed to be a bad thing when you force someone to do something and they're not doing anything wrong. But of course, these moments want to lose sight of that. More than 1.1 million in fines will be handed down after 6 police officers were hospitalized and 218 people were arrested during the massive anti-lockdown rally in Melbourne. Yeah, so these protests actually got pretty violent. There were police officers that were injured. The people actually fought back.
Victoria Police say flares, glass bottles and marbles were thrown directly at officers, forcing them to deploy rubber bullets and capsicum spray. Chief Commissioner Shane Patton said the vast majority of protesters were angry men aged between 25 and 40 who came with the intent to cause trouble.
And they have a right to fight back. It's called self-defense, ladies and gentlemen. When police officers are beating the hell out of you or even shooting you, well, you resist. I mean, that's what you do when you actually respect yourself, when you believe in sovereignty. But look, there have been a lot of fines that have been handed out. I want to remind everyone that when it comes to these fines, first and foremost, the last thing you want to do is pay these fines. I know a lot of people are apprehensive about going to court because they think it's some kind of weird, scary thing. Look, I have personally never actually been to, court myself where I've actually been on trial, but I've stood in on a conference over Zoom. I've seen what happens. But fundamentally, it's incumbent upon you to become familiar with what goes on in a court case. Familiarize yourself with the language of the law. Educate yourself in regards to the legalese, so that eventually you are not afraid of going into court and defending yourself. Because one of the problems I notice a lot of people are experiencing is they're going ahead with everything because they're afraid of having to go to court. They don't want to get these fines because, oh no, what if you go to court? Well, when you don't fear going to court, this fear never has any hold on you, because it is incumbent upon each and every single person right now, in the same way that it's important to learn how to defend yourself physically from people that may be wanting to harm you if you are a man or a woman for that matter. It's important to understand the legal system so that when these police officers are trying to coerce you, bully you, you don't submit to their nonsense and you throw it back in their face. I mean, need I remind people that you can actually take these police officers to court when they're unlawfully trying to coerce you to divulge your medical information, when they're unlawfully trying to get you to divulge your address for that matter. I mean, by all means, comply if they're not listening to reason, they're not listening to evidence, but record them. Get your camera out, record them, take them to court. Get the privacy commissioner or the human rights commissioner involved and sue these guys. I mean, this is how this stuff is going to change. You stop bringing these people to justice. If enough people start doing this, this is when you see change. And when it comes to these fines, if enough people actually decide to have these fines dealt in court, or there are certain templates that you can send to these policy officers that will get them to back up. If you know the right kind of language to use, you know how to play the game, you can avoid a lot of these problems. That being said, I need to remind everyone that we're dealing with tyrants, essentially. And look, if they feel like it, they will abuse their power. So also be mindful of the fact that, yeah, practically speaking, these people may not listen to reason a lot of the times. But one of the best things you can do is to learn how to defend yourself legally, educate yourself. There are great groups like the Know Your Rights group, which I've learned a lot from, that speak about the legalese, understanding your rights within the confines of Australia, but this also applies to many of the Commonwealth nations, and will give you the background on how to actually deal with these tyrants. Premier Daniel Andrews warned that if people ignored lockdown restrictions this weekend, well, then the next week it will be like Sydney. So he's obviously threatening to even take this to another scary case, right? Even more restrictions. I mean, what happens when we don't have any freedoms whatsoever? Does it just get worse? Does it become a situation where essentially you cannot move without the government's permission? Look, these guys are not going to give you your freedom back. Granted, they're going to threaten to make things worse, but eventually it's going to get worse anyway, unless, of course, you resist. Daniel Andrews went on to say protesting does not work against the virus. And as I was saying, one of the points that was raised is that even if you are a naughty conspiracy theorist that attends one of these protests, go get yourself tested. Because, of course, we got to get tested, right? So that they can justify these lockdowns, right? Well, look, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do. If you want to get tested, if you want to wear a mask, I mean, you may have legitimate reasons as to your health as to why you don't want to wear one. However, I will say this, that if we continue to go ahead with whether it's the mandates, whether it's the tests, which they're using to essentially justify more and more restrictions, if you are positive, we're just going to see more and more and more of this. And as I have said, liberty is never granted, it is taken. The rights of man are not determined by the generosity of the state, but they come from the hand of God, as JFK once said. And this is even within the Constitution of Australia. It makes reference to God. Fundamentally, these rights do not come from the state. The people have gotten this stuff twisted. They think that the government gets to decide how much freedom they have, particularly when we're in a state of emergency. That's not how it works, Momo. Ooh! So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to end this finally by making reference to a video I came across of a retired Queensland police officer discussing a plan to take Australia back using legal notices to criminally charge police officers, individuals and to take away their possessions. And I thought it was brilliant. I highly recommend people checking this out. This is a little clip that you might find very interesting.
So we won't be going there looking like scumbag hippies, unless you think this is a scumbag hippie. We'll be going there in our sovereignty, in our highly visible Australian citizen integrity. And we will be serving them cease and desist orders for the entire station. You can't ignore that. And we're going to comply with their rules, with their silly rules, because we're going to walk a mile with them. We'll socially distance. We'll have everyone set apart. If we need to follow their rules that one little bit, we will, because we're going to be serving them these legal papers. We're going to keep going until they are shaking in their shoes. And when there's enough of us, we will have a very courteous chat with them. And we'll tell them what we want and that we want it now.
Now, I know a lot of momos out there are saying that, look, Chris Yule, why are you perpetuating all these ideas built of your own imagination? That's never going to happen, mate. You're never going to be able to overthrow the Australian police, man. Well, this is something we need to remind ourselves. If you're going to be realistic about this and say that, look, we have to be realistic, we're never going to be able to achieve any of this stuff, then you might as well just bow down, expose your ass, and let the government continue to... Fundamentally speaking, all tyranny has come down to people doing things that were considered unrealistic. A few hundred years ago, people thought it was unrealistic to try to abolish slavery. Nonetheless, it was done. The cynics will always proclaim that trying to achieve certain ends are just not realistic. Therefore, you should never try to achieve these things. Well, yours truly, the Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother, when it comes to what is possible, I do not deal in realism. I deal in self-determination. I believe that you can achieve anything that you put your mind to with the aid of God, Krishna, Buddha, the unifying field. If people want to put limitations on themselves, that's their prerogative. People will always tell you that you cannot achieve these things. You need to stay the fuck at home. But don't allow them to perpetuate those limiting beliefs onto you. You can do anything you put your mind to. You are a child of the universe. We are the misfits. We are the 1% in the context of historically being the minority that has always been able to shift the status quo, to question the moral certitudes of the time. It has always been these people that believed what was possible despite the naysayers saying it was impossible, that were able to shift the status quo. And I would invite every single person to embolden your hearts and embolden others by standing for what is unrealistic, because it is right, and march towards liberty, march towards truth. Don't be a realist when it comes to what is possible. Be a dreamer. Dare to dream, dare to believe. And I'm telling you, within the realm of realism and belief and what is possible, remembering that even within impossible, there is the idea of what is possible, that there are more and more people waking up every single day. There is a silent majority of people out there that are not happy with what is going on. They're questioning the status quo. There are legal efforts in play to overcome the tyranny that we are seeing, the massive human rights violations. Granted, the media has been successful in casting this dream spell over the eyes of the masses. There are those that are seeing beyond the illusion and that are waking others up. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, believe in what is possible. Remember that there are three things that cannot remain hidden for long: the sun, the moon, and the wisdomatic truth bombs of the Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother. And I want to thank every single person for checking out these videos, for sharing these videos. Be sure to tell your mom, tell your friends, buy us a coffee. You can check out the links below if you feel so inclined. And please, please, please check out the Telegram group. I don't know how long I'm going to be on the tubes for. You know, granted, I'm trying to be very careful at the moment, not to say anything that's going to get me in the naughty corner. At any point, YouTube could just say, oh, look, I don't think this guy is on team meh, like he says he is, and expose me by by taking me down. So please check us out on the Telegram. Check us out on other avenues. Yours Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother is everywhere, or at least on a lot of different platforms. And remember to strive for freedom. Remember that you are a child of the universe, and the truth cannot be hidden for long. Kisses, hugs, belly rubs, illuminate your minds with wisdom, strengthen your will with love, and purge all negative thought patterns from your existence. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community?
There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.